And this will give me a bit of a guideline to stand back and look at it and then go back in and adjust like where the segments of the fingers are on the hand. There's going to be a little more of a highlight in some spots, a little less in the shadow areas and where the segments are. The folds of the jackets, there's going to be high areas and low areas, but basically I'm just running through very quickly, giving myself a little bit of a guideline to go by, to go back and adjust later on. This thing's been on my workbench for quite some time, and I really like him. So I'm just messing with it slowly, and then when I get the grayscale done to my satisfaction, then I'll put it on the head of the list as far as finishing the figure. I have about 10 different figures on my workbench at one time, and I'll pick one up and throw some grays on it, and sometimes they start piquing my interest, so I'll do a little more work on them, and then they get moved to the head of the class when they reach a certain point. Now, I'm not using any medium, so I am trying to work quickly. However, this paint is holding up pretty well as far as drying. I still have a lot of liquidity to it, so I'm not concerned too much, although I am working very fast for many reasons right now. When I get down to doing detail, I'll use the blending medium so that my paint doesn't dry. Because when you start putting just tiny bits of paint on your brush, the molecules of liquid are going to evaporate very, very fast. In Las Vegas in the summertime, it's very hot and dry, and I have had issues where the acrylics, I will pick it up, a tiny bit of acrylic on the brush, and by the time I get it to the figure, it's dry. So that's when the blending medium comes in handy, and then oftentimes, out of frustration in the summertime, I'll just switch to oils. But I do try to do all the underpainting or bring the figure as close to having the light and darks the way I want them with the acrylics, and then go back in, if I so desire, with oil paints.
So you're going to do a grayscale and then add color on top of it?
Yes. And if you look at the Lincoln, you can see that I'm in the middle of that process of adding color with glazes.
What would happen if you just went just straight color and just tried to shade the colors or something?
Well, that's how I used to paint, and that works out well, but I find that I spend a lot more time in that...
It's harder to see the gray, the dark, and light.
Yes, I prefer to this. I'm an illustrator, so this is how I do. It's like doing your pencil drawing first and laying in everything, getting it all nailed down, and then I can go in and paint using color theory and focus on color theory rather than light and dark.